Well, I'm getting ready to make some changes in the studio, and what I thought I'd do before I actually started tearing this stuff apart is shoot a little bit of it on video for, if nothing else, historic purposes. This was our first webcasting studio here at Broadband Video. This is a mobile studio. As you can see, it's on a platform. It's on a raised platform that you can kind of roll around, and it took actually 3 people to make this thing run, and so I thought I'd sort of go over how that all worked. You can see we've got an old set in the background there with some cloth over it and all that, and there was a couple chairs there where we were sort of doing a talk show kind of deal. So anyway, I wanted to go over this because I'm actually going to tear this thing apart, and I thought it would be nice to have a little record of it before I took it apart. I'm going to sell off most of the pieces. It's all analog stuff, and as you know, the world is going from 4:3 analog to 16:9 HD digital, so this whole unit is going to kind of come apart and make way for some more HD stuff. So the way this would work here is we actually we had a soundboard down here, and we would have somebody sitting here who would be running the sound, and they'd be we'd have a bunch of microphones over there on the table and hanging from the ceilings and stuff, and you can see we have some lighting rigs up here. I don't have those all turned on right now, but we'd have a sound person right here, and then you'd have sort of our this is our 3-camera preview right here. And you could, of course, preview what was going on in, monitor 1, monitor 2, and monitor 3, depending upon what camera was there. We're also getting rid of all these cameras because these are all old analog cameras. And what we would do here is we had just a regular CD player, so we had that kind of plugged into the mixing board, so you could sort of like run music over the top of everything if you wanted to. And this, of course, was our DVD player right here, and this was just a portable rig. Let me see if I can get it open one-handed. This is an old Sony sort of portable rig, and one of these guys, and we would shoot. We'd burn a DVD with all our opens and closes on that, and we would sit here and use this little remote control to control what was coming up on the DVD player. That was part of and fed into our fabulous master control here, which was the Newmark AVM02, which was a really fantastic device for its time. What it is basically a sort of extreme DJ mixer, and what it was made for was for doing live DJ performances. Well, they added this whole component at one point of video mixing in here, so you had all this composite video that you could come in and out of here with a switch. You could actually have 4 live sources that were locked, so you could switch back and forth. You could do wipes and fades and green screen and all that. Unfortunately, it's all composite. It's all 4:3. It's a little old school for what we're doing these days. And so what we did was we essentially put we would have 3 cameras on it, camera 1, 2, and 3, obviously, and then 4, we had this little upstream switcher that you see right here. We had all kinds of different stuff plugged into that upstream. You can see this is our list that shows you what was on there. We had DVD 1, DVD 2, we had a second Studio B that we were feeding in for a while. We had the laptop Skype interface and Cam 4. This was another switcher, and you'll notice this is a fabulous Radio Shack switcher. And what this did was this controlled the output of what was going to the monitor that was on the set. Now you can see there's no monitor there anymore, but there used to be a big monitor on the set, sort of behind the talent, and we could take one of the feeds. So if we were doing a Skype call or something like that, we could say, okay, bang, great, switch over to Skype, and that would be in there. So that worked out pretty well. And then what we had here was an air monitor, so that's whatever was on there was going out over the air. And then we had a upstream 4 preview, so you could see what was going to come in, because you had these 3. You had camera 1, 2, and 3 over here, but you needed some sort of upstream preview here. We had a separate mixer that we used for audio for Skype coming off of the laptop, because we had we actually had three people here. And sort of the way it worked was this. We had your audio person here, and then we had your person actually doing all the switching, and then we had a person over here who was what we call the internet wrangler, and they had a laptop, and the laptop was they were going out and getting websites, they were hauling stuff in from Skype, they were doing all kinds of things, and then loading that in upstream on 4 as part of our overall mix. And with this monitor that you go, why is that monitor turned around backwards? This monitor showed, it was a preview monitor for the talent, so if they were talking about a website and they were saying, well, you know, here's the Smithville.com website, they could see if our guy had it queued up and ready to go, and they'd say, okay, well, let's take a look at that website, and bang, we would switch it into the mix. So here's how it all looked from the other side. You know, as you can see, there were a lot of wires dangling around, but the amazing thing about this was that it was very inexpensive and it worked very well. I mean, we're running a 3-camera switch with 8 inputs upstream, including other cameras or video or whatever we wanted to have, and it all kind of worked. It's all on this little rolling platform, and of course we had the fan here to keep things cool in the summertime because it would get pretty warm in the old warehouse back here. But that's essentially it. This whole monitor system was actually these were those sort of screens that you put on the back of car seats for kids, and I actually mounted them in this computer case with a power supply and put some I/O jacks in there and everything. So it's with a tinge of nostalgia that I begin to start tearing apart and piecing out this the broadband video analog webcasting setup. It all came out, it all distilled down basically down to these cables and ran up through here to the other side through this extremely, as you can see back here, high-tech hole in the wall to all our encoding computers, and I'll give you a shot of those real quick because we're going to be tearing those apart too. So now we're on the other side of that wall that you saw the hole drilled in, and we've sort of begun to take this apart too. There was a monitor here and some other stuff, but we have a 16 computer controller right there, and we basically had 5 units right here. These were all our encoders. These were going to Ustream, Livestream, and all that sort of stuff. But now, of course, there's software like Telestream's Wirecast that goes to multiple different locations. And so this unit, while it was really fun and while it was really cool and advanced for the time, is pretty much headed off to the analog boneyard. So there you go. We're going to be tearing things apart. I'm Jock Myro with Broadband Video. Thanks for watching our little analog teardown sequence, and we'll see you around the web.